So thank you so much for joining us here today. Linda, if you could kindly just introduce yourself, the film, and our guests.
Okay, so I'm Linda Ohama, and I'm a Vancouver filmmaker, and I'm in the festival with A New Moon Over Tohoku, a documentary that I shot in the disaster area of Japan, in northeastern Japan. And two of the people from the film that I interviewed over 2.5 years time, Kanako Sasaki, and Sera, her daughter Sera Sasaki. Kanako, she plays a big role in the film.
Great. And so how did you meet?
How did we meet? Well, actually it was coincidence, because I knew her daughter before and I didn't know she was from the disaster area. I was giving a university lecture in Tokyo and she was in my class a few years before the tsunami disaster. But when I went back to Japan after the 2011 disaster, I was giving a lecture, and she came into that. She heard that I was speaking, so she came. And after the lecture, she asked to speak to me. And so we had coffee, and she broke down and cried. And actually, I thought she was crying because she wanted to discuss something like she was pregnant or something. I didn't have a clue that it had anything to do with the disaster. But we talked, and she speaks English. And she told me that she was from the town of Otsuchi, which was the hardest hit town, fishing town, that got hit by the tsunami. They lost their whole town and so many people, and a lot of her friends and a lot of their family. They wouldn't let her go back there, so she was worried about her mom and everybody because they lost their house, and so she couldn't go back. Her family wouldn't allow her to go into the disaster zone. So I promised her that I would go and I would check on them and I would do anything I could. I promised. That was a promise. So eventually I did head up to Otsuchi, and I met her mother, who's she's an acupuncture doctor, but she was in the tsunami. She was swept away by the water, and actually she got hit by a tree and lost her teeth. But that same night, she doctored over 100 victims that had broken bones and bleeding, and she helped over 100 people that very night. Without medical supplies, by just finding pieces of wood or trees and branches and pieces of rope. I mean, she's amazing to have been able to do that. So she didn't tell me about her mother, what her mother was, but when I met her and found out how incredible she was, I started interviewing her. So I interviewed her for over 2.5 years.
So this film obviously documents a very powerful relationship between the three of you. I wanted to ask, what first compelled you to reach out to Linda and think that she might be able to help you, a filmmaker?
The first thing I just want like you to do was to make a film, because it's just only way to spread the story, what she had. And it's maybe can help you or people around all over the world when you such a big, massive disaster hits your place or somewhere else somewhere in the world. So I just only way to do that. Yeah.
And what was your initial reaction?
No, I didn't go to Tohoku to make a documentary. I went there as a volunteer. I wanted to help the people, especially the young children, because I have children and here in Vancouver and grandchildren. So my purpose was volunteer work. But then Sera and other people found out that I was a filmmaker. Well, she knew I was a filmmaker, and they started asking me, please tell our story to the world. so that they understand something about how to recover when you are left with very little. Because it could be, our own personal lives, something happening in our own lives, and if we're equipped and we know what kind of strengths we can draw from as a human being, then maybe it'll help. So this is a story that they wanted to tell, not about what they lost, but how they found their way back. And even Kanako, when I met her, she said, please make a film. And I said, I'm sorry, but I can't, because I'm not Japanese. I'm not from Tohoku. I'm a foreigner. So maybe I don't understand a lot of things. But she started crying and she begged me on her hands and knees, please make a film. But I refused for about a month until I went to Fukushima. And when I walked down, I went inside the zone, the no-go zone, where people weren't allowed. And I got in there and I saw these ghost towns where people used to live there. And there was nothing. Like, life stopped. Bicycles were left where they were. Dishes were left on the table. Like, it's like a spaceship came and took them all up to somewhere.
Wow.
Life disappeared. And it was such a horrible feeling and such lifelessness that I just cried to think that we as human beings created something that destroyed towns, whole towns. So it was then that I decided, okay, I'm going to say yes. I'm going to make this film. I'm a documentary filmmaker. Yeah. I have a responsibility. Never mind volunteering, like digging ditches or cleaning photographs or playing with children. Maybe my best way to volunteer is as a director. So that's where it started, on that empty street all by myself.
Interesting. And Kanako, what was your experience like being the subject of this documentary? This is, I'm guessing, your first time that you were a part of a film and a movie. How did you find the experience?
初めてニュースをしました。あなたのエクスペリエンスは何？初めて。
自分が初め撮られるっていうのは全然分かってなくって言葉がまず通じてないから。でも私たちが生き残って伝えなければならないっていうことを生の声で伝えるっていうことが本当にそれが良かったと思ってます。
So she said the first time she didn't expect that she would shoot it, but she is sure that now she is sure that it is important to things that to spread the message from her or that through her movie, and it is a great way to spread the message.
She did say that before she told me that. At first, when I said I would make a film, she said that so many news media came to the town because it was one of the hardest hit places, and news bureaus sent people from all over the world to the town. And she said they would come, ask hard questions, make her cry, and then leave, and then she'd never see them again. But she knew something about me was different. I came in with a little tiny Nikon camera at first because I didn't have anything. And she said I was so laid back that she knew that maybe I was different. And so she would open up.
That's interesting. And so on that note, what sort of conversation are you looking to start with the film, or what would you like to see happen after the film's release?
Well, for me, it would be wonderful if people would learn about how wonderful the Tohoku people of that area and the Japanese are, because a lot of people, not even Japanese people, know Tohoku. But more than that, I hope that the film inspires people to think more positively about their own lives, that not to just dwell so much on the negative. We get so busy, we get so stressed out, and we always say, oh, I wish I had more money, oh, I wish I had a bigger house, oh, I wish I had. But we forget how lucky we are. You go to a place like that and you come back here, even though, you have a kind of a modest house and a modest life, we're so lucky. But we forget, and we're so busy complaining that we forget to enjoy. And I think if we spent more time on the positive, each day of our life would just become happier. And I hope the film shows that, and shows people how to do that.
I guess my last question to you, Linda, is you're a veteran filmmaker, and you said that you actually did a lot of this particular film on your own. Do you have any words of advice for other young, filmmakers that maybe have a small camera and an idea for a story, but don't even know where to begin, especially if they want to do something that's going to bring social change, like a lot of young filmmakers, look.
I think for any filmmaker, whether you're a veteran or you're a newcomer, emerging filmmaker, I think the most important thing is to follow your heart. And if you're passionate about anything, even a piece of paper or a nail or a person, it doesn't matter. If you have the passion, I think, and find a way to express it in your film and share that with an audience. And maybe not everybody is going to be as passionate as you, but they will feel you. Yeah. And you'll communicate that to them. So I think, whatever drives you, whatever excites you, it's the passion. And be honest with that in drama or in documentary.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we wish you best of luck with the film.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.